First of all, Chris Christie, no surprise whatsoever to anybody that he has won this election. The margin of victory, though, appears to be getting bigger rather than smaller, and that is significant for him personally, for his presidential ambitions.
Honestly, with Christie, I think it's almost all about personality. I mean, I think, and by the way, I think a Hillary Clinton-Chris Christie matchup in 2016, this libertarian thing we're talking about is going to be big, because young people like Chris Christie. They like that he's so brash and that he's outspoken. And I think Hillary Clinton is hung with the whole war issue. She's been very pro-intervention in Syria and Libya, various other places. And the libertarian thing is not just about spying, it's also anti-war. So I really think, actually, I mean, I know that I'm, again, in the minority here, but I don't think Hillary Clinton's the best candidate the Democrats could run in 2016.
All right, I want to bring in, joining us from D.C. now, Brad Blakeman, former Deputy Assistant to President George W. Bush. Great to see you as always, Brad.
Good to see you.
What are your thoughts on Chris Christie winning? I'm assuming when I announced that you did not fall off your chair in shock.
I'm thinking recount. Look, Christie's done an amazing job in doing what politicians should do best, and that's serving his constituencies. There's no doubt that Governor Christie is the governor of New Jersey. He walks the walk, he talks the talk, he's hands-on when he needs to be, and I think that people of New Jersey and a blue state appreciate a Republican governor who rolls his sleeves up and stands by them, whether it's a storm, whether it's on taxes, whether it's on education. So it's a good lesson for politicians around the country, especially when you could be in enemy territory like Christie is, a Republican in a Democratic state. Do your job, do it well, and the people will reward you for it.
Brad, is it also a lesson that Americans like the middle?
Look, that's where our country is. Our country is just right of center. And this is, again, a great lesson for Republicans, is be where the country is. And you're going to get nominated and you're going to get elected. Because remember, you have to be nominated by the party before you're elected by the people. I think Christie understands that more than any other politician that we have.
Jamu, your glee when Republicans run a candidate who is farther to the right is almost undisguised. You would, if, as Liz said, the Republicans do learn lessons that they perhaps have been taught in some of these races, as Liz herself said, some not particularly well-chosen candidates, you're going to become a very worried woman with less reason for glee, one imagines.
Now, Jonathan.
Just a question, Jimmy.
I am an American first before I am a Democrat. And I will, in any election, want the best candidate on both sides of the aisle. That is not what has happened with the Tea Party's influence in the Republican Party. I think, though, that even though these massive amounts of resources are being directed towards not nominating these crazy Tea Party folks, just like the massive amounts of resources that were spent to elect Mitt Romney didn't work, Crossroads and all of those various super PACs, I don't think they're going to have an impact because of the stronghold that the Tea Party has on their state parties. And if they are up against a Republican who has voted in a way that they don't like, or who isn't as strong as Ted Cruz, they're going to take him out. They want to cut them off at their knees. I feel sorry.
All right, I want to bring in just quickly here our digital politics editor, Chris Stilwell, joining us from his perch in D.C. And Chris, I guess the narrative that it seems to have been shaping up overall is the Tea Party narrative. What all of this means for the Tea Party. Governor Christie re-election, very moderate Republican in many people's eyes, although some believe he's a little more conservative underneath than perhaps he's shown. And if Terry McAuliffe were to win in Virginia, a Tea Party candidate defeated. Is that a fair narrative?
No, but that's okay.
Chris Style, our digital politics editor.
It's been great having you back on the internet, Jonathan. No, that's the most important thing is welcome back to the internet.
Thank you, sir.
We missed you. We're honored by your presence. Here's the and all glory and honor to those who have laid out this narrative, and I am sure that it is a strong one. What you have tonight is that you have in New Jersey a guy who got results that said to voters of his state, I can do stuff, in a state that was deemed ungovernable, basically. You had Chris Christie coming into desperation play in New Jersey. They said, the state is such a disaster. It's so poorly governed. It's so out of control. We're willing to take a chance on a Republican. He delivered. People liked the results. He won. Now, in Virginia, what you have is an interesting break in that. Bob McDonnell, who won at the same time as Chris Christie in 2009, was doing the same things as Christie. He was a social conservative, like Ken Cuccinelli, the Republican candidate. He was a social conservative, but he was delivering results and was hugely popular in Virginia. And then he was destroyed by a scandal of his own making. He and his wife taking presents from a wealthy donor. And Ken Cuccinelli, who had a narrative to run on, which was, I can govern all of the people of Virginia. I may be very conservative personally, but I can govern all the people of Virginia, was eviscerated. It went away. And what went from a race in which you had an incumbent attorney general following a popular governor of the same party running against a guy who was a carpetbagger, the guy who has more ethical garbage strewn around his career than any governor, I would imagine, that has been elected in these United States in the last couple of years. Terry McAuliffe, freighted with the green tech scandal and other scandals, still did very well in this race throughout because of that terrible scandal and failure to deliver and govern well on the part of Bob McDonnell.
Right, Chris. I think a lot of us were expecting a result announced by you brilliant minds on the Fox News decision desk, you know, a lot quicker than this in Virginia. As you, to the extent that you can tell us the way these things work, what's holding it up other than the obvious answer that it's closer than we may have thought?
Well, we're trying to get into Kelly file so we can build a little suspense. I don't tell anybody that.
She's a very powerful woman around here.
It's a very powerful woman. We're holding it for Megyn. No, look, the reality is this race has closed dramatically, and we're seeing the consequence of the problems, to say the least, of the rollout of the president's health law. As that happened in Virginia, you had this prior narrative, which was beset by scandal and painted and allowed himself to be painted. Ken Cuccinelli is a participant in a war on women. The race had firmed up, and it was out in double digits. You saw the race close, and this race is, I can say it now, it's too close to call. And it's certainly not shaping up to be any kind of a walk-off for Terry McAuliffe.
All right. Can you tell the rest of the decision desk there to put down the beers for 5 minutes and get back to work and get us a result from Virginia?
This is the Jägermeister hour. We do Jaeger bombs now, and we get all hyped up, and then 9 o'clock is when we cut loose.
I can't wait to get you back on air in about an hour if it's Jägermeister hour. Chris Steiwalt, Digital Politics Editor, great to see you as always. Have fun with Megyn. Give her my love.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, Chris. Liz, the idea that this has tightened up in Virginia a little bit because of the healthcare problems and all the focus that there has been on that, entirely believable and understandable that would be maybe what's moved momentum slightly, even if it's not enough.
I don't know if that's really impacting the race in Virginia. I mean, finally, we did get around to the scandals and stuff. There's so many weird elements in the Virginia race. It really is hard to read from that. But I wrote a piece this past week for the Fiscal Times saying they're back. I mean, the Republicans were so in the doghouse because of the government shutdown and all the, you know, manipulating of votes and so forth in Congress. And all it took was 1 week of every news organization focusing on the Obamacare rollout. And it was like, whoever heard of the government shutdown? Who's even caring about that anymore? So, boy, these things change fast. And so as we're sitting here talking about how all this is going to impact 2014, really, who knows? I mean, there are going to be other issues that come along.